From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Good Tuesday morning. It's 5 o'clock. Welcome to Montana This Morning. I'm Victoria Hill. Thank you so much for starting your day with us. Our top story this morning, Joe Biden's transition to the White House is officially underway, despite a late night tweet from President Trump saying he'll never concede to election fraud. CBS's Bofta Yamam brings us the latest.
The General Services Administration has ascertained Joe Biden is the apparent winner of the election following more than 2 weeks of delay. The move gives the Biden team access to federal resources to prepare for the White House. In a letter, GSA Administrator Emily Murphy wrote she came to my decision independently and was never directly or indirectly pressured by any executive branch official, including those who work at the White House. Minutes after that was released, President Trump tweeted that he had recommended Emily and her team do what needs to be done with regard to initial protocols. But late last night, Mr. Trump added that he will never concede to the election fraud he has yet to prove.
There's a constitutional process that's being played out.
Murphy had been under pressure by Democrats and some Republicans to act, but held off as the Trump campaign waged legal challenges that have since largely failed.
In this case, the law is absolutely clear.
The final straws seemed to come yesterday when Michigan certified its election results.
We have a clear legal duty to certify the results of the election.
And the Pennsylvania Supreme Court handed the Trump team another court loss on blocking certain absentee ballots.
Blue cities, red cities.
President-elect Biden hasn't been waiting on the GSA, yesterday meeting with a group of mayors.
We deserve the full support of an American president. I promise you that.
Mr. Biden also named his national security team comprised of people who served under President Obama. Bofta Yamam, CBS News, Washington.
And with the news of Biden's transition starting, a President Trump-appointed Montana official is stepping down. U.S. Attorney Kurt Alme announced his resignation effective next week. Alme was recommended by Senator Steve Daines and nominated by President Trump in June of 2017 before being confirmed a couple of months later. Because it's a political appointment, the president can keep or remove any U.S. attorney. Well, now it's time to get a quick check of weather with Ed. Joining us on this Tuesday, the countdown to Thanksgiving is on. What do you have for us, Ed?
Yeah, we got a little of everything. The temperature is very consistent, as we've been talking about for what's going on 2 weeks now. But 28 to get the morning started with the southwest wind at 12 miles an hour, at least 28 up at the airport. Now, regionally, the temperatures are similar. We've got some teens across the eastern plains, only 11 in Williston, North Dakota, 14 in Worland, Wyoming this morning, but a lot of 20s and 30s across Montana. We'll also see some wind. Now this morning, the wind's a little brisk around Livingston and that 12-mile-an-hour wind around Billings. But as we take it through time heading out towards tomorrow, the winds will become more widespread, especially through central Montana. And eventually that'll have some effect even on the Billings area. This morning, the temperatures are mainly into the teens and 20s across the area, although we get some 30s in the mix. Big Timber right now said 30 degrees, 16 in Clark, Wyoming, one of the cooler readings. At Graybull, you're only at 11 degrees this morning. Temperatures on their way back up into the 40s for this afternoon, but with more sunshine than yesterday. We'll break down more of the forecast details through Thanksgiving and beyond coming up in a few minutes.
Something about Thanksgiving is just making the week power by so fast.
That's for sure.
And then it's going to be gone so fast, and then the other days will drag on until Christmas.
That's
how
right.
It usually works. All right, Ed. Well, thank you so much for that weather update. I'll get back to the news.
Thanks.
The man accused of shooting and killing his ex-girlfriend on the Crow Reservation last month pleaded not guilty. Documents state 27-year-old Taylor Plainbull spotted Lenita Goes Ahead while they were both driving on Blue Creek Road. He forced Goes Ahead's vehicle into a ditch, then shot her in the head. Plainbull was arrested 3 days later after a lengthy standoff with police at the downtown Billings Roadway Inn. He's facing life in prison and was ordered to remain in custody until his next court appearance. In Helena, a man accused of shooting and killing a friend made his first appearance in court yesterday. MTN's John Riley has more and reaction from the victim's family.
31-year-old Corey Michael Kelly has been charged with deliberate homicide, a felony in connection to the death of Mark Luther on Friday, November 20th. Judge Swingley set bond at $250,000. Luther's parents say they've been overwhelmed with support from the community and were supportive of the judge's decision.
I'm really glad that the judge is keeping him incarcerated until the trial date, and hopefully he'll get the sentence he deserves.
According to documents filed with the court, Kelly was at Luther's residence along with several other individuals early Friday morning. Law enforcement found a video film that evening in which a scythe was used to cauterize a wound on Luther's face. Detectives say Kelly can be seen in the recording. Witnesses told detectives later Luther and Kelly had gotten into an argument, with Luther eventually presenting several loaded firearms and told Kelly to pick one. Witnesses told law enforcement Luther made several comments to them and Kelly that the firearms were loaded. Kelly allegedly picked one of the firearms described as a military-style M4 and shot Luther in the chest. Kelly is then accused of leaving the residence and striking two other vehicles with his vehicle while leaving. He was located by authorities just before 10 p.m. Friday night and was taken into custody without incident. Kelly is expected to enter his plea before district court on Tuesday, December 15th. Should he manage to post bail, it's anticipated that he'll be asked to wear a GPS tracking device upon release. Reporting in Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
In Missoula, police have a new lead as they continue to investigate a homicide after a body was found near a trail over the weekend. Now investigators believe they have a suspect and the victim was pushed from a wheelchair. A witness reports seeing it happen and hearing the victim shout no. Officers say they hope businesses in the area will check any video footage to help identify a man pushing someone else in a wheelchair that day. Turning now to the latest on the pandemic, the strain on Montana hospitals is getting worse, but help is arriving. More than 100 traveling nurses and respiratory therapists are now lending a hand across the state, with another 170 expected here before the end of the week. The state is working with the Seattle area firm to bring the personnel into Montana. The National Guard has activated 58 members to help with non-medical duties at 5 of the larger hospitals. Federal funds are expected to cover the cost of the temporary medical staffing. And experts expect a COVID-19 vaccine to be available soon. Now Montana health leaders are putting a plan in place to distribute it. It begins with the creation of the State External COVID-19 Vaccination Plan Coordination Team. The group of Montana medical, tribal, and government leaders will weigh on the process. As of right now, the team is planning a 3-phased rollout and don't anticipate a vaccine for the general public until 6 months after it's available. Up first is essential responders and medical workers, along with people at the highest risk. These individuals will get the vaccine within the first 2 months. In phase 2, they'll get a second dose, and other priority groups will get there first. Last, officials hope the supply will be large enough for public distribution sometime in May. Finding a substitute teacher in Montana has been a challenge for schools all across Montana, but one small school near Bozeman has had a lot of eager volunteers. MTN's Holly Brantley has more.
How many would I have in one line?
Masked students learn math inside the walls of Montfortin School. Here, in-person learning continues in spite of the coronavirus, thanks to a dedicated and determined staff and the help of parents who also have a passion for learning.
I am really excited to be able to support the teachers.
Sarah Baumgartner is a mother of 2 Montfortin students, answering the call to step in as a substitute teacher, something she never thought she'd do.
I was very nervous going into it, but I will tell you, these teachers are rock stars and they had everything set up and ready to go.
See, the need for subs stems beyond whether or not someone tests positive for COVID-19. Coming in contact or being otherwise exposed calls for quarantine, a domino effect that leads to short staffing and added stress for staff. In fact, both Longfellow and Meadowlark schools made the switch back to remote learning because of a shortage of substitute teachers.
We really need to be able to come together and as a community support each other so that teachers can have that time to be able to be home when they need to be home and to feel like the kids in the classroom are still being supported.
For the schools, parents as substitutes is a win on multiple levels. It eases the strain on staff, gets parents involved, and most importantly, ensures that kids keep on track when it comes to learning.
Yeah, we would not be able to stay open without having the community support and the substitute teaching support that we've had this year.
Superintendent Darren Strauss says that added help allows the teachers to take care of the needs of themselves and their own families while knowing their students are in good hands too, and they try to make the process easy.
And a lot of our teachers have actually, even if they're at home because they have lost childcare, or if they're not feeling well, or just are in a quarantine sort of situation, they'll actually stream into the classroom from home, and then that staff, or the substitute employee, the guest teacher, is in the classroom just kind of to help redirect questions and make sure that students are staying on task.
He says it's been a community effort to keep their school open. As for Sarah, she's calling on other moms, dads, and people who simply want to help to step up and do so. People who understand the future of the world is in our hands inside these classrooms.
Please sign up to sub because it was overwhelmingly a great experience.
Thank you so much, Holly. New numbers show that right now is the busiest travel time since the pandemic began in March. Millions are flying out every day this week, but experts say there are a few things that may be contributing to the high numbers. Many colleges have ended their in-person classes for the year, pushing many students to return home. In a new survey, many say they are unwilling to miss out on seeing family for Thanksgiving and believe they can make it to their destinations safely. Well, those airport travelers are not alone. Many will also hit the roadways. And as CBS's Daniel Backus explains, those who do will be saving money this year.
Larice Peoples is preparing for his Thanksgiving trip from Los Angeles to Fresno, California. He's one of the nearly 48 million people expected to hit the road for the holiday.
I decided to stay local in California because my family is back east, and decided not to fly there, but actually to drive to see family that's closer.
Because of COVID-19, AAA expects a 10% drop in travel this Thanksgiving. 95% of Americans who do leave home are expected to travel by car. And there's good news for drivers.
Gas prices have just been consistently cheap.
Jeanette McGee is with AAA.
Right now, motorists can find gas for $1.99 or less at 55% of gas stations across the country. Compare that to last year at this time, 1% of gas stations had gas available for $1.99 or less.
The national average for a gallon of unleaded is down about 48 cents from this time last year.
I love these gas prices. I bought a new truck because of the gas prices. So for me, man, the gas prices definitely helps out in my decision being able to drive.
AAA predicts gas prices will stay low through the holiday season.
We've definitely seen gas prices decrease in the past month, and we expect that trend to continue well into December.
McGee suggests if you are hitting the road, be aware of local and state travel restrictions, including quarantine orders, which Larice says he has done. Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
AAA also projects those who are traveling will drive shorter distances and spend fewer days away. Well, back here in Montana, families are still picking up the pieces from the Bridger Foothills fire near Bozeman that wiped out nearly 40 houses. Homeowners say they aren't getting some of the assistance they were promised and need help. One woman says her insurance company hasn't paid a nickel yet, and smoke damage is too severe for her and her family to return home. She says while the process of dealing with the insurance companies has been frustrating, she can still count on support from fellow Montanans.
It's brought Bridger Canyon together. Neighbors have come to aid, community has come to aid with not only donations but help rebuilding all of our fences, barns, clearing out things that, we needed help getting out right away.
At least 68 total structures were lost and 11 others were damaged in that fire.